Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Throne of Seal based on novel. So let's start. During the time of his chant, the golden light on Long Houchen's body kept gaining in intensity. In the air, large amounts of light essence started to resonate with him. But still, he had a very disappointed look on his face. Just as he expected, the same incantation won't always show the same power every time. Luck couldn't stand on his side forever. Long Houchen was chanting for sacred rain. But this time, he couldn't gather all the light essence, and didn't give birth to the previous miraculous scene. It only ended up as a rain of light. A brilliant golden pillar of light appeared from nowhere, illuminating the whole surrounding area. Although rain of light was by far incomparable with sacred rain, in the end it remained a healing spell of the 8th step, sufficient to cover a circumference of 1,000 square meters. In its range, all the warriors and mags in the southeastern mountain pass were very effectively healed, and the demons let out some greenish smoke, as their offense greatly weakened. Still, rain of light was in the end only a rain of light. Its area of effect, healing efficiency, and duration were all by far incomparable to the supra-forbidden spell Sacred Rain. So the demon offense was only slightly contained, yielding a short time for resting to the soldiers. After the healing, rain of light was already over, and the demon army continued its charge in tides. Lin Xin had drawn back slightly. The continuous offensive spell greatly consumed his spiritual energy, and although he had the boost from the fire dragon wings, he required some time of adjustment to recover his spiritual energy. Without his powerful magic attacks, the demons immediately continued their charge against the fortress. At their vanguard were actually some of the Luke clan's invisible demons. They couldn't drill through the tough walls, but aimed their sharp-pointed arms forward without hesitation. Han Yu responded calmly to these enemies, not greedy for achievements. Both hands holding his shield, he encompassed the surroundings with his senses, perfectly defending Long Houchen and Lin Xin behind him. Holy light imbued shield, shield charge, divine obstruction, and shield wall. Several great shield defensive abilities were used by Han Yu, who stood unmoving, yet stopped the advance of all demons in a range of 20 meters. Like a streak of grey light, the light of death, Caia moved forth. Everywhere she passed, even the tenacious demonic bear had no way to resist in the slightest. The sharpness of the sickle of the god of death could only be described as terrible, and further adding that to her godly speed, all the holes in Han Yu's defense on the sidelines were perfectly complemented. Long Houchen still didn't participate in the attack, releasing one Guardian Knight spell after another. Faith Halo, Guardian's Favor, Toughness Halo, Spiritual Gathering Halo, Sacred Halo. Every Halo-type ability far surpassed ordinary knights when released by him, covering an extremely large area. He could even throw the area in a certain direction, to let it spread and cover the other sides of the fortress. Due to his series of light spells, almost a third of the warriors in the fort were boosted by some halo. Although this series of halos didn't provide an enormous boost, it had the properties of the light element, not only greatly boosting the allies' morale, but also increasing both the soldiers' offensive strength and survivability. In the lot, the most remarkable one was Sacred Halo. This was one of the most useful ones in battles against demons. In its area, all the warriors' attacks gained properties of sacred light. This tremendously increased their killing power against demons, and upon entering its range, the strength of any enemy of the darkness attribute immediately plummeted. For sure, compared to defense and boosts, Long Houchen's offense was far better. But he was not in a situation of one against one, or a decisive struggle of one against many. A Guardian Knight's usefulness in the battlefield was far beyond compare with a Retribution Knight's one. The advantages he had as God's chosen one made the boost provided by each of Long Houchen's ability at least 3 times more effective than an ordinary knight's. These amplifying techniques, with a low consumption, were almost uninterruptedly fired. For a moment, a third of the area covered by the southeastern fort was enveloped in a drizzling golden splendor. After a short time of recovery, Lin Xin also returned to battle, launching batteries of attacks. As far as his Heart of Fire's flames reached, blue seas of fire greatly restricted the demon's advance and attacks. And at the time his full-powered attacks came, Han Yu and Caia would vanish to the sidelines, recovering some spiritual energy. The mutual understanding between them was already extremely deep. Even after having separated for so long, their joint attacks were still that harmonious. This mutual understanding came from their absolute confidence. This was especially due to Long Houchen's presence, acting as the soul of the team, enabling the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad to make powerful moves without the slightest fear. Sounds of metal rang on Long Houchen's left side, accompanied with an excited shout, "Kia, just focus on the right side and leave the left side to me." Long Houchen inclined his head sideways, to see that Wang Yuanyuan had joined his side. Those metallic sounds of collision came from the gigantic divine soul shield and bloodstorm. "Yuanyuan, you," Long Houchen said in surprise. Immersed in the halos liberated by Long Houchen, Wang Yuanyuan's body was enveloped by a layer of golden gloss. "Boss, how could I be left out? Did you know? I have been waiting for our reunion to fight alongside each other for far too long." Having received the healing from Angel's Embrace, Wang Yuanyuan recovered some of her strength. She was the one with the greatest mental change. The arrival of Long Houchen and the others admittedly enabled her to loosen the deep pressure she put on herself, but also aroused an inexhaustible combativeness in her. Being able to fight alongside her most familiar companions was an absolute happiness in her eyes. Seeing Long Houchen and the other four coordinate with tacit understanding on the front, how could she rest peacefully behind? After recovering mentally for a few minutes, she immediately joined Long Houchen's side. Long Houchen didn't stop Wang Yuanyuan, he knew that he had no way to stop her. "Okay. Then let's fight alongside. Yuanyuan, activate your chains." "Yes, Captain." Wang Yuanyuan shouted aloud. At the time of their initial separation, the members of the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad all voluntarily deactivated the soul-binding chains, because they didn't know what they would encounter in this time of separation. No one wanted to implicate their comrades. After reuniting, the soul-binding chains connected one after another, symbolizing them reuniting as a whole. After reuniting, all the members of their squad had become far stronger than before. Their experiences of life and deaths made them treasure this team all the more, while their experience and strength grew dramatically. 5 of the 7 were already reunited, and the strength of their team was regained for the most part. With Wang Yuanyuan covering the left side and putting on a powerful display of might with her 2 weapons, Long Houchen was sitting in the center of the formation, putting his whole heart into using his buffing magic. The higher-ups from the warrior temple had noticed this change since long before. The sudden appearance of these 4 to join the battlefield astonished them greatly, but, because of the dense holy light attribute emanating from Long Houchen and Han Yu, they didn't block them. The sight of Long Houchen's golden foundation armor then greatly surprised them. The Golden Foundation Knights were the core of the Knight Temple's force. Unless it's for some important mission, they won't easily leave the dragon-resisting mountain pass. So how come a Golden Foundation Knight suddenly led a group to the southeastern mountain pass? The war gods and war emperors under Qiu Yonghao's lead all stood opposite to the 8 great demon gods. Seeing Long Houchen release one boosting spell after another, they couldn't help but secretly feel high praises. That's a Guardian Knights. Among all vocations, Guardian Knights were of extreme use in the battlefield. They could defend, support, attack, and even heal. A powerful all-round Guardian Knight could totally reverse the tides. Qiu Yonghao and the powerhouses from the warrior temple were floating in the sky, overlooking the situation distinctly. Ever since the arrival of Long Houchen's group with the launch of Rain of Light, the pressure on the southeastern mountain pass had visibly alleviated. The demon's offense was greatly suppressed. The great assistance of these few was analyzed the most deeply by Qiu Yonghao, in his capacity as chief of the warrior temple. Knight, mage, assassin, knight, warrior. Wait, Wang Yuanyuan is actually coordinating with them without a sound. Could they be from that demon hunt squad of hers? Reaching this point, Qiu Yonghao couldn't help but feel deep shock. In his memories immediately resurged the time when a youngster left the sword intense deep secrets inside the warrior temple. Wait, could the Golden Foundation armor using non-stop boosting spells be him? So he actually progressed to such an extent in less than 2 years. Recalling that conference that took place less than 2 years ago in the Temple Alliance, Qiu Yonghao couldn't help but feel complex feelings arise. What's the role of a Guardian Knight in the battlefield? That's not defense nor healing, much less attack. It's to prolong the lives of his comrades in arms as much as possible. As long as you understand this and manage it, you will be a truly qualified Guardian Knight. His grandfather's words reverberating in his mind, Houchen's use of the halos became more and more adept, his halos flowing together with increased efficiency. The recovery from the Golden Foundation armor, as well as his own, gave him an almost unending supply of spiritual energy to fully use these halo-type spell, reaching at most the 5th step. In terms of pure speed, although he was still below a pure mage such as Lin Xin, his range was far beyond compare with a mage of same rank, or even Lin Xin. Long Houchen was in a very special state, giving him a kind of sublime feeling. As all these halos were released, and the lives of the allies were saved, a far stronger feeling than the time he was actively slaughtering the enemies arose in him. The battle was still proceeding. The Holy War was originally a prolonged war, and the current situation all the more. It was a meat-grinding battle, where corpses piled up like a mountain around the fortress. Although the addition of Long Houchen's group made the southeastern fort's situation a lot more stable, the demon offense showed no signs of weakening, becoming instead even fiercer. Even more demon powerhouses joined the battlefield and attacked the fort's defensive line. Circles of black light autonomously came out from the 8 demon god pillars. Each of them landed in a large area of demon soldiers, who immediately felt bursts of excitement due to their influence, bravely charging. Of the 8 demon gods responsible for the attack of the fort, the leading one was an absolute beauty. Even for a human, this was a perfect appearance. But the body had a very manly stature, a tall and sturdy figure with 6 black wings on the back. And on the forehead, a triangular black crystal. Paimon, ranked 9th of the 72 demon gods. Angel demon god, expert in dark magic. Aside from Paimon, the other 7 demon gods were all below the 20th rank. So he was naturally the commander of this area. The angel demon god Paimon was different from the hell demon god Marbas in that Marbas was a pure mage of darkness element, or should we say, a hellish mage, and Paimon had both magic and martial specializations, expert in various boosting magics of the darkness element. To be able to hold a seat among the top 10 demon gods, his individual fighting power was not below Marbas by much. Also, he was a good friend of the moon demon god Agars, and held a sublime status among demons. Before inheriting his position as demon god, Paimon used to serve as the demon god emperor's imperial guard, receiving good care and guidance from him. Therefore, he was extremely loyal to the demon god emperor, and firmly obeyed every one of his orders. When the demon god emperor ordered him to only deplete the warrior temple's strength, he did no more. When he was told to strengthen the attacks, that's what he did. As a single individual, without clansmen of his own, he didn't have to worry about his kin or race. Acting according to the demon god emperor was enough. As such, he was acclaimed by the demon god emperor as his most loyal subordinate. Of course, Paimon's status was by far incomparable to Agar's or Visago. These 2 demon gods were the demon god emperor's best brothers. Even so, no one was as free from worry as him, apart from these 3. Even Saminaga and Marbas dealt with him with great care. An exception remained, and that's the berserk demon god Arnan. Although Paimon didn't have to listen and obey to Arnan's orders, he still submitted totally to Arnan. That was out of respect, as when the 2 compared notes, he had not won even once, suffering a severe loss every time. Senior Paimon. That knight who has arrived suddenly is quite threatening. Should we take some measures against him? Beside Paimon was another handsome-looking demon god with 6 wings on the back, asking in low voice. Aside from the looks of femininity of the former, he resembled the angel demon god quite a lot, apart from lacking a 3rd eye on the forehead. That was the 49th ranked demon god of clear vision Crocell. Because of his resemblance to Paimon, these 2 had a good relationship. And being also a standalone demon god, he could be considered Paimon's direct successor. Paimon told, then go scout him out. Yes. Crocell replied, and looked into the distance at Long Houchen's direction. The demon god undulations surrounding him were colored in a sinister deep blue. Immediately, his other eye opened slowly, revealing a deep blue pupil. Colorless bizarre waves traced a sort of straight line, rushing straight for the southeastern mountain pass. Long Houchen, still using various halo-type abilities, suddenly had a dizzy feeling, as if a special force was trying to disconnect his mind. In secret alarm, he immediately stopped his series of magic, and focused all of his attention, gathering his mental force to scout this sudden change. In Long Houchen's senses, that force making him dizzy was formed of strong psychic waves, but didn't look like the attack from psychic magic. Even he couldn't contend against it with his mental force, but this psychic force wasn't anything like a powerful attack. But in the end the issue was that he couldn't determine what this could be. He could just faintly sense that it came from the demons. In the space between Long Houchen's eyes came out a ripple of golden color, immediately extending from there, rapidly enveloping his whole body. Outside this layer of gold color, one could faintly see tinges of deep blue color. In a blink of eye, these tints were destroyed, and everything came back to normal. The demon god of clear vision Crocell revealed an astonished look. What a strong mental force. That knight is clearly specialized in the light element. How could he have such mental strength? The angel demon god Paimon wrinkled his brows. How are things? Crocell replied, this human knight has a great mental force. My scouting was discovered right upon reaching him. And his mind rejected it autonomously. With the little probing I managed, I could determine his cultivation to be at the 8th step. He has a golden foundation armor of epic tier on, measuring 1.92 meters, weighing 80 kilograms. His external spiritual is approximately a little above 30,000. His physical strength is much greater than an ordinary knight. His age. Mentioning his age, Crocell showed a perplexed look. His response was just too fast, so maybe my scouting isn't very accurate. From what the deep inspection method told me, he should be below 30. His specific age couldn't be scouted clearly, and the same goes for the other equipment on him. A knight of the 8th step below his 30s. Looks like your scouting was really inaccurate. Are you confident in your ability to get him with your personal ability? Crocell shook his head. Hardly. Although his cultivation is quite below mine, his mental force is very strong. I don't have an absolute confidence in my success. With a mental force such as his, even if I succeed, I'm afraid that I will also suffer severe damage in the process. Right at this time, Paimon saw another series of Halo-type abilities from Long Houchen, spilling to the whole southeastern fort, reinforcing their troops' resistance against the demon army. Give it a try then. I will be boosting you. Humans that can wear a golden foundation, knight of epic tier are very few, only second to divine knights in the Knight Temple. This knight is even more troublesome than a warrior of the 9th step would be. And he seems to have just arrived, and should be unaware of your presence. The warrior temple shouldn't have had the time to inform him. Yes. Crocell didn't hesitate in the slightest after hearing Paimon's instruction. Gaining the appreciation of the 9th demon god was the greatest motive for his obedience. Calling him Paimon's mercenary would be no exaggeration. Shutting both eyes, Crocell started a chant. His voice became very calm, and the demon god pillar on his back shone in full deep blue during his chant. As he started chanting, Paimon's figure flashed, and Crocell was standing to block for him, obstructing the human's line of sight. At the same time he raised his hands, and spread out a layer of drizzling black fog. All 8 demon god pillars on his back were concealed by this act. An earth-shattering amount of dark essence was gathering, and in the midst of a melodious chant, a black-winged angel then flapped his wings mildly, soaring around the black fog, and continuously shot some black rays at the demon armies below. This was Paimon's fallen angel domain. All the demons of the 7th step, or below illuminated by this domain, will instantly gain a step's strength for a time of 5 minutes. The boosting effects of this domain could definitely be ranked in the top 3 among all demon domains. In the meantime, while concealed by the black fog, Paimon also started to chant in a low voice, dark golden rays bubbling forth from his eyes to turn into a dark gold-colored spiral which covered Crocell on his back. Having gained the boost from this dark golden radiance, Crocell's chant accelerated visibly, and his demon god pillar hidden in the black fog released some dark blue radiance, which started to let out twisting undulations, which gathered in between his eyebrows. The central eye on his forehead started to change looks, deepening in color. A golden foundation knight may have caught Paimon's attention, but generally, it wouldn't make him have Crocell take such dangerous actions. He didn't know why, but after listening to Crocell's description, he immediately made this choice without hesitation. Deep inside him, he had the faint feeling that something with this golden foundation knight was amiss. Paimon made such a firm choice, but regardless of whether his feeling was correct, killing a golden foundation knight from the Knight Temple couldn't be a mistake. From the previous little event, Long Houchen's vigilance was raised quite highly. Still, those psychic waves were short-lived and didn't inflict the slightest damage to him. So he didn't become overly careful, and still kept chaining those halo abilities. With Long Houchen's current cultivation, he believed firmly that considering the current distance of the 8 demon gods, even if the enemy suddenly were to launch a sudden attack of forbidden spell grade, it wouldn't involve him in a situation such as the ones in the dragon-resisting mountain pass, the Exorcist mountain pass, or the Tombao mountain pass battle. Unless one of the top 3 demon gods came out here, the warrior temple's chief Chiu Yonghao kept his eyes on Long Houchen all the time. The instant he stopped using halos, and changed his stance to defense, he couldn't help but stare blankly. Long Houchen's previous halos were chaining so naturally and without any waste of spiritual energy, that this sudden stop was clearly very unnatural. What happened, Chiao Yonghao immediately had some doubts, and from his position, it was obviously impossible to see that bluish-black trail rejected by Houchen. Immediately later, Chiao Yonghao saw the eruption of black fog confronting the demon army. The angel demon god Payman's activation of fallen angel domain instantly rose an ominous premonition to Chiao Yonghao's mind, sensing that something was about to happen. What are the demons planning? His thoughts running amok, Chiao Yonghao suddenly trembled, thinking about that one weakest and yet most dangerous individual amongst them. Golden Knight, be careful. Grab someone beside you. Chiao Yonghao's loud shout reverberated through the skies almost immediately. With his level of cultivation, spreading his voice to Long Houchen's range was naturally no issue. In the meantime, Chiao Yonghao led the group of powerhouses straight toward the outside of the fortress. Golden Knight, that was without a doubt destined to be Long Houchen. While fully using halos, he naturally recognized Chiao Yonghao's voice, however these words puzzled him. Grab someone. What does he mean, ? In that instant of hesitation, Long Houchen suddenly felt an indescribable pressure abruptly land onto him. Then a sudden surge of panic reached his mind, as he felt an extremely unpredictable threat. But any powerhouse has a strong desire of control, especially over themselves. They are used to be in control of everything within the scope of their ability. And in case something becomes beyond their control, they'd immediately have feelings of panic, which was Long Houchen's current state. A perfectly straight, brilliant dark blue ray traveled through the dense black fog, aiming right for Long Houchen and toward the southeastern fort. That instant, Long Houchen felt his body becoming suddenly stiff, as a choking terrible psychic force instantly seized him. Right at this time, his hand was raised, wanting to grab the nearby Hanyu. Speaking of something strange, that dark blue ray didn't inflict any damage to others. Even when passing through Hanyu's body, he didn't have the slightest awareness of that. It only had effects on Long Houchen. Kia, Wang Yuanyuan, Hanyu and Zhong Fangfang immediately realized that something was amiss. Hastening to where that attack was targeted, they found out, with overwhelming shock, that all they could do was futile. It seemed composed purely of light, not containing the slightest fluctuation of spiritual energy, and all their attacks landed on air. Long Houchen's body remained in a deadlocked position, as his figure clearly began to weaken. Right, Long Houchen was too slow to react. If he had immediately heeded Chiao Yonghao's call and grabbed Hanyu, he could have made it in time, but unfortunately, due to reflecting, he lost that opportunity. Still, as a god's chosen one, how could he resign himself helplessly to death? Although he didn't know what this dark blue ray would bring and sensed a great danger from it, he could, by successfully extinguishing it, end up escaping death narrowly. Long Houchen immediately attempted to use the abilities at his disposal on this situation of great danger. First, he thought of the divine snail shield, but found out with shock that only his mental force was usable. All his spiritual energy was already sealed by the dark blue ray, and unable to muster the slightest movement. Having lost the backup of his spiritual energy, no matter the strength of the equipment on him, he was unable to display their true might. Mental force, mental force. That dark green ray of light was about to succeed. And a fierce face came to Houchen's sight. Oh, that's right. No spiritual energy didn't mean that he couldn't activate his equipment. Not all of his equipment required spiritual energy for use. A golden radiance suddenly shot up on his chest. If he were to look carefully and from a close distance, he would find out that this radiance had the shape of a small skull. On the verge of death, Long Houchen wanted to activate the eternal melody, the transporting tool that had saved their lives many times already. No matter how powerful the enemy's ability was, as long as he made it out to the Tower of Eternity, what could they do about it? The eternal melody only required mental force for use, and didn't need any supply of spiritual energy. Through the eternal melody binding it to Long Houchen, the Tower of Eternity had been absorbing the external soul force. Especially after Long Houchen's addition to the Holy War, it had become even more greedy, and gradually felt like a monster awaking gradually from Long Houchen's view. The demon god of death Saminaga already became the greatest offering for the Tower of Eternity. If not for his prompt decision, he could very well have gotten directly swallowed by the tower. That time's assimilation of the domain of death gave great benefits to the Tower of Eternity. Afterwards, Long Houchen went a few more times on the battlefield, and a substantial number of the deceased souls were absorbed, supplying the tower with large soul energy. Long Houchen observed many times the eternal melody on his neck, and found out that the originally gold-colored skull was gradually forming golden flames pulsing in its eyes. This was as if it was coming alive, and further reinforced by connection with the Tower of Eternity. As more and more soul energy was absorbed, the feeling of scorching burn originally felt upon absorption disappeared gradually, to be replaced by a feeling of warmth. Its influence on Long Houchen also reduced gradually, and the feeling of substance it had made it feel like a huge supporter in Long Houchen's eyes. Only, he hadn't planned to use this supporter directly, and didn't know how he should. In his mind, he felt like a representative for the Tower of Eternity, making this latter his employer. It kept on absorbing the external soul energy, while doing nothing in return, and in the meantime he was totally unable to control the force of the Tower of Eternity. Of course, Long Houchen had also never attempted to exercise control over the Tower of Eternity. Only, the need of teleportation made him use it. If things were as he guessed, the Tower of Eternity should already be an intelligent divine tool. So it may not even be under the control of the slumbering calamity Elux. This made it even harder for Long Houchen to break away from it. Fortunately, even if it took advantage of Houchen in such way, it had already recognized him as its successor, and therefore never acted harmfully toward Houchen. Speaking of it, it's quite strange for the Tower of Eternity to be a divine tool so voracious towards souls. Long Houchen didn't reject it as much as Elux though. No matter what could be said, the Tower of Eternity not only helped him increase his strength, but furthermore saved his group's life multiple times. Without it, Long Houchen would already be dead in the demon's hands. Also, they wouldn't have already gained such accomplishment, or at least wouldn't have grown in strength so fast. Things really were as Long Houchen expected. While the other equipments were unusable, and even Yating couldn't be summoned, the eternal melody emitted her glow just as before. Under the cover of the deep blue ray, Long Houchen's body turned illusory, as if it could disappear at any time. And when the golden radiance appeared, the whole scene changed mystically. The golden radiance issued from his chest immediately merged with the surrounding dark blue ray, and these powerful psychic waves immediately became in disarray. To its owner's shock, the eternal melody not only fused together with that dark blue ray, but even extended toward the distant black fog from where it was shot. Almost in the blink of an eye, the dark fog and the deep blue trail on the fortress turned into a mix of deep blue and gold colors. In the sky, the temple head of the warriors, Chiu Yonghao's hand chopped at the distant black fog with a colossal sword intent letting out a huge golden trail of light. Right that instant, Long Houchen disappeared, as well as the interwoven deep blue and golden colors. At the same time, the originator of that deep blue ray, demon god of clear vision Crocell, disappeared as well. The entangled golden and blue-colored rays in the sky disappeared almost immediately. From the deep blue ray's appearance to its full disappearance, only 2 breaths had elapsed. And in such a short span of time, some individuals vanished alongside it. The instant Long Houchen disappeared, Kia, Han Yu, Wang Yuanyuan and Lin Xin instead calmed down. They knew Long Houchen very well, and the undulations of spiritual energy produced at the time of that instant disappearance told them that he had returned to the Tower of Eternity. And furthermore, thanks to the connection of the soul-binding chains, the 4 didn't sense any damage shared by them, which was to say that Long Houchen was out of danger at least for now. Part 1 end here.